Okay, perfect. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jacqueline Fernandez at the Alert Center. Really appreciate you being here with us today. Hopefully you survived all the rain that was out there. My goodness, it was earlier. Hopefully it didn't affect your morning commute too much. We'll show you some live images of outside now from the newsroom anyway. It looks a little bit different than it did this morning. And that's going to be our topic for today. When severe weather does happen, are you prepared? So I'm going to bring in my friend Josh Planos here with the Better Business Bureau just to talk a little bit about, do you know what to do? What if something happens to your home, your car, something along those lines? So let's get right over to Josh. Josh, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jacqueline. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, perfect. So, unfortunately, you don't want to fall victim to a scam twice, right? So that's a big topic that we'll be discussing today. So unfortunately, you're probably a little bit flustered if something happens to your home or your car, and this is when I'll say the bad guys, quote unquote, try to come out in the aftermath of severe weather, and those scammers are just ready to target you. Unfortunately, can you speak to that for us this afternoon?
Yeah, sadly, the first thing you want to do when you're in a situation of doubt is make a decision as quickly as possible. You want to get through the bad times, right? To get back to a situation where you're comfortable in your home and all of those home repairs are done. But sadly, probably the most important thing to do is to slow yourself down in those situations where there is going to be a ton of unsolicited communication that you will receive because sadly, there are storm chasers, or what we refer to as storm chasers, out there who target weather patterns. So they provide social media targeted advertising, they go door to door, they do all of these things to act as though they are going to support you in your pursuit to get back on your feet. When really they have no interest in doing so. We receive plenty of reports pretty consistently in Tornado Alley, where we all live, right? That impact everything from home insurance claims to repairing your roof to even a kitchen remodel. So you want to be sure that you're again doing your due diligence, working with a trusted, reputable contractor, and ensuring that you're navigating the process as carefully as you can.
Right, so the BBB calls these people storm chasers. Beware of those out-of-town contractors, like you were saying. One thing that caught my attention on your website, bbb.org, you say some may lack the proper licensing for your area. So while someone may be licensed in their state, maybe they're one of these storm chasers, right? They come to our state and then they don't have the proper licensing to begin with to even start fixing anything that may be damaged during the storm, or they might offer quick fixes or make big promises they don't intend to keep, right?
Yes, I think that's actually one of the primary benefits of dealing with a BBB accredited business is that company, that contractor is licensed. They cannot be BBB accredited if they are not licensed. So you can think of it like an insurance for your home project. We encourage folks to look up the licensing rules and requirements and the list of available licensed contractors in their region. The reality is that many are unwilling to do that research, right? So you want to make sure that, again, you're sticking with, in this case, a BBB accredited business, a BBB accredited contractor, because you have that support and that safety net, which is essential, right? Just because
Right,
someone
exactly.
has a good attitude does not mean that they are deserving of your time, attention, and your project.
Right, and one big thing that we want to chat about more, what want to learn more about, I should say, is contracts 101, right? I mean, so the BBB kind of lays this out for us. It's very clear. So, Josh, I'm going to interrupt our interview right now, real quick, just to play this out for our viewers. Here's what you should really be focusing on, what to include in your home improvement contract. This is kind of a 101 for our viewers, but even if you know what you're doing, never a bad time to get back on track.
Contracts are an essential part of any big home improvement project. But why? At BBB, we look at contracts as a mutual agreement, a promise that protects both you and your contractor. And because honoring promises is one of our standards for trust, we always recommend taking the time to create a detailed contract that sets the stage for a more trustworthy experience. So let's dig a little deeper into why having a contract matters. Number one, they're legally binding. When you and your contractor sign a written agreement, that's something you and they can point to. And in the event of a dispute, You can share your contract with a BBB resolution specialist or arbitrator to make a sound judgment on how to resolve the issue. Number 2, your contract establishes clear communication guidelines. But not just for big things like, say, terminating a project. For little things too, like what hours a contractor can access your house. Your contract is your roadmap to making conversations a lot easier. 3, money. You know it was coming. Signing off on your budget gives you a ground zero to work from for cost hikes, project changes, and pitfalls. You don't want to be caught in a spot where you can't afford to replace old electrical work, do you? 4, deadlines. Project timelines and deadlines keep your expectations on track. They help you plan for adjustments to your daily routine and keep everyone accountable. 5, quality. You want to get what you pay for, right? If you're dreaming of high-end materials and workmanship, set those expectations down in your contract. And 6, warranties and liabilities. If there's a defective appliance, subpar material used, or a contractor's workmanship issue, you want to have a way to correct the problem. To sum up, these all amount to why your contract matters. And as mentioned before, if you ever have a project dispute, that's something BBB can help with. But to hold a business accountable, what's the first thing we're going to ask for? Yep, your contract. Remember to read your contract before you sign. And when you're hiring, don't forget to look for the BBB seal. It's the sign of a better business.
All right, and Josh, some great tips there from the BBB website. That's always a great place where you can just go in general, bbb.org, and you've just got tips, tricks, I mean, you name it, good practices, bad practices, kind of like the full gamut, right? So tell us a little bit more about anything else that you wanted to add today. I mean, you know, just to make sure that people are weather aware, and maybe, you know, something doesn't necessarily happen to your house, but maybe a loved one or a friend, and you can offer them some good tips, some good guidance.
Yeah, so I would say the primary red flags that we alert consumers to be on the lookout for is to be really cautious of anyone requesting full payment for everything up front. This is a hallmark of storm chasers and of scams. Typically, you want to make sure that it's under 50% is requested for the entirety of the project. There would be no reason for you to pay in full for a good or a service or project that has not been fulfilled. Be careful with folks who are kind of out of sight, out of mind. You want to make sure, as far as you can control for it, that you're around when contractors are working on post-disaster cleanup, because typically that initial estimate has a habit of evolving over time when you don't, right? So you want to make sure that you're at
Right.
least able to check in repeatedly with the contractors and ensure that they're making good on their timelines and doing the work appropriately.
Wonderful, Josh. Some great tips as always. Thank you so much for joining us at the Alert Center. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday at noon.
Thank you.
with what we experienced earlier. So just taking a look at these cameras. Here's our Blackstone camera. Here's a look at Children's Nebraska again. So as I was mentioning, a little bit better view, better vibe than what we experienced around 7 o'clock this morning. So also just wanted to say thanks so much for joining me at the Alert Center. We have more on our website, wwt.com, and we'll have more coming up on First at 3 with Dave Zavolinsky. Until then, have a wonderful afternoon.